and I liked it, and I thought that it was a story that needed to be told. In 2014, when I heard the script, Prakhar and me went to Kashi, to Varanasi, to actually do a recce, and we were there for 15 days, just going to Mukti Dham, meeting Pandeji, you know, the guy who looked after Mukti Bhavan, and we would actually see, you know, dead bodies being picked up in front of us, and how people checked in over there, or if you don't die at Mukti Bhavan, you're asked to please leave in 30 days. This whole concept was just so, it was so unique. I mean, I've never heard of this, that Mukti Bhavan actually existed. And then there was a newspaper article also which said Kashi Karvat, the final halt. कैसे लोग जाते हैं वाराणसी, you know, मरने के लिए, उन्हें लगता है उनको salvation मिलेगा, and what happens then? That's how, you know, I like the script, and I thought that it's a story that needs to be told.
That's a very difficult choice to make. There are many points in his life, even though it's a short film, you see his entire life in front of you. Some happens in flashback, some happens in present tense. Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of places where as an actor, I was supposed to just use my imagination, because it has not happened to me before. There is no emotional or sense memory of, you know, what normally actors depend on, emotional memory or sense memory to recreate certain reactions or expressions. But when I was, you know, when that scene where the doctor tells me that you are going to die, that was one, you know, for me a very tough reaction to make, because no one has told me this before. And I hope for many years no one tells me this before. But that was one very challenging. And secondly, to depict a man who is in constant physical pain and not really talking too much, but only absorbing and reacting to whatever is happening around him, is by itself a very nice and a challenging thing for an actor to do, because there are many actors who sometimes choose the scripts according to the number of lines that they have, but when you have to remain silent for such a long time, and he starts speaking a little only at the later part, in the latter part of the film, and becomes animated also in the latter part of the film. Otherwise, he is a man who has seen death and he is waiting for it. So to do that was itself a very challenging process. Not a particular moment, but that entire journey of that man. And I must confess that I like to flash my nipples around. But in this character, the man was so much stricken by the reality of his death, approaching death, that he had forgotten how to smile. So I remember that first time when he meets that child, you know, who's mouthing those ancient wisdoms in order to make a living on the ghats. And that is the first time that he cracks into a small smile. And I had decided that till that moment comes, I'm not going to smile in this entire film. Even when I meet Sutaria from Surat, I am looking at him with a little bit of amusement and contempt, probably, you know, disdain. But I had decided not to smile there too, because it was that child. You see, when you are confronted by this innocence, and that is the time you really feel like smiling. That's the time when his smile starts coming back. So, without really preparing for it, I must say that I kind of, you know, this entire process of this depicting this character was really very challenging to me, and it was an actor's delight. I mean, what better showcase you can have for a film than this? So I do consider this to be one of my you know, ranking amongst my better performances. And yeah, and I remember when Aarti narrated to me the story. The story itself was something that takes your breath away. Yes. You know, you remain open-mouthed at the end. That what the hell happened? You know, it is that twist, a very O. Henry kind of a twist. You know, I'm a great fan of O. Henry's short stories, and this particular story had that very strange, but still there was a kind of a completeness about it. You are not feeling, you know, he has gone, he has come back from the jaws of death, and in fact the character tells him, you know, Rafiq tells him that now now we are going back to life, so you know, get attached, and that attachment comes in form of Surat Nu Jaman, that he wants to, you know, that desire to live. As soon as it is, he experiences it, and then he is taken away from life.